Welcome. Thank you so much for joining, Jason.
Sorry, I'm a minute or two late. We were finishing an episode of the podcast. Not that that is a good excuse, but it is an excuse nonetheless.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Yeah, we're looking forward to you throwing something together for us and talking about the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Playbook here.
My honor to do it. Thanks so much for having me. I have the chat open, and so hey Cassandra, anybody feel free to say hello. If you're in a place where you can turn on your camera, that's always fun, and that does not include a bathtub. We had a very unfortunate incident earlier in the week. Um, Thanks for the kind words about the podcast. If you haven't heard Molly Fletcher today, she is absolutely fire. And if you didn't hear Gary's 10 questions to start a new year, which was the week before, I would tell you to go listen to that one. He spent an awful lot of time on it. We're happy with the way it came out. So, okay, let's do this. So the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Playbook. Why did we write it? First of all, we've sold almost 20,000 copies of the book. Here's the thing. Most of it we wrote in a 3-week period. And the truth of the matter is, it was only recently that we sent it to editing. They made over 1,000 changes to spelling and grammar, which means that I sold almost 15,000 of them before we ever did any of that. And so here's what I can tell you. I can't spell. I'm not good at grammar. I finished high school with a 1.8 GPA on the 5-year plan. I'm only doing this because I'm really good at open houses. There's not like some sort of special class for this sort of thing. And so I don't want to say that none of that matters because we have an amazing editing department, and it does. But I do want lesson number one to be this. In writing this, here's what I realized. You got an awful lot of people that are striving for perfection. They're looking for perfection in the way that they look. Let me just tell you, all of your mirrors are broken. It's never going to show you perfection. It's not you, it's the mirror. I'm sure of it. I know because I just bought a skinny mirror. If you haven't done that, Google it. It's the greatest thing I've ever bought. It's just life changing, really. But in any event, you're trying to have perfection in the way you look. You're trying to have perfection in the way that you do business. You're trying to have perfection in raising your kids. You're trying to make perfection when you do food. I just want to tell everyone it's just not real. It's just you're not going to have it. And you're trying to control an awful lot of things. The minute that you release control of the majority of things to honor control of the few things, you're closer to enlightenment. And I learned that while writing this. And here's the truth. And I mentioned it in a previous podcast, which is if you're trying to control things, I just want to remind you how out of control you are. Like, and it's going to get a little depressing. So touch some sky if you're into cry. You're just in control of almost nothing. And the reason for that is because you're just one little human, little human, and there's 8 billion others just like you spinning around on this giant rock that 71% of is covered in water and you can't fly or walk on it. So the vast majority of the earth is undiscovered to your entire life. And you're going through this like solar system that has more galaxies in it than there are grains of sand on the earth. So like you couldn't be less important. Mathematically, it's so infinitesimal. You don't matter at all. My gift to you. So here's the thing. If you didn't realize that, then you walk around trying to control everything and you try to have perfection in everything. And I just want to tell you, you're just not going to achieve it. You're better off deciding the one or two things that you need to be in control of. Because here's the deal. You may end up being in control of 857 things, including all the people around you. Some you're going to withhold love from to control them that way. Some you're going to give love to control them that way. Some you're just going to give love to over a 4 minutes period. You're going to, in any event, in the end, if you end up controlling everything except the one or two things that you need to be in control of, you will still feel out of control. That's the same for perfection. That's why choosing the one or two things you need to control. Gary Keller says the only thing I need to be in control of is my time. Once I'm in control of my time, everything else I can be out of control of. And which is interesting because when he said that to me, I looked up and realized he's in control of my time also because I'm a W and rich people buy poor people's time. We call them employees. But at the end of the day, he's in control of my time and King's time and her time and his time. And it turns out time is the thing for him. So what's the thing for you? And let me just remind you again, perfection, not going to happen. So that was lesson number one from writing the book. Lesson number two was everybody overestimates what they can do in the short term and underestimates what they can do in the long term, which is why when you set short-term goals, you've done yourself a giant disservice. Short-term goals, especially ones that are based on a calendar year, are really dangerous, mainly because the only reason you subscribe to a calendar year is simply so the federal government can collect taxes from you. By and large, Americans are great at paying their taxes. We collect more money. We're having record revenues. Other countries, people don't pay them. They're like realtors. But most people in the US pay them, not y'all, but everyone else is paying them on time. It's weird. So anyway, that system goes back long before they called them taxes. They were originally called tributes, and they knew to collect them right after the harvest. And so making sure people knew what time of year it was mattered. But if you fall into the habit of setting annual goals, I just want you to know something. You are not going to set big enough goals, because nothing you can accomplish in a year is worth doing. And you're going to say, wait a second, I get a lot done in a year. Yeah, but I said worth doing. And the mission of life is to live your fullest, not your averagest. We don't have average camp. We got mega camp. You know, like, how do you do that? Well, here's how you do it. You pick the things that matter to you. Step one, pick them. Gary told you what matters to him in the book, The One Thing. He's got his spirituality, his physical health, his key relationships, his job, his wealth. Like, you all know those circles. That might not be for you. What matters? Step one, write it down. What are the things that matter to you? Because you might look up and say, look, dude, this whole like, who am I spirituality journey, that's deeper than I want to go. I want to make a lot of money, drive a really fast car, and find romance at least 3 times a week, live in a house on the lake. Good. You do you, boo. I'm not judging that. Judgment would be a mistake. That wouldn't work for me, might work for you. What does matter to you? Then I want you to set a 15-year goal. Most people don't set a 30-year wealth plan, so they end up poor. What's your 30-year wealth plan? What's your 15-year relationship plan? What's the next 10 years of your business look like? And if you don't do it, what ends up happening is you say things like, I'm going to do double. No one on this call has ever said that. Okay, great. Then what? Double again. Great. Or how about well, I made 100 last year, so I'm going to make 150 this year. Well, why? Well, it's 50 more, isn't it? Okay, good. Based in nothing. And what ends up happening is then things get hard and you look up and your goals were more to nothing and they just don't end up happening. So I learned that writing this book, which was, okay, stop thinking about the next year. Think about the length of your career. Then each year, you're simply asking the question, am I on track? Because, and I say it in wealth all the time, if you want to be worth $30 million, you have to buy 2 homes a year for 50 years. And Brett would say, no, it's 2 homes a year for 30 years. I'm doing my Pontiac, Michigan math. It ends up you need more time or you got to buy more than 2 homes. The end of the day, though, is 2, 3, 4 homes. That's doable anywhere. But it won't get you there in 1 year. It won't get you there in 2. By the way, in year 4, you're going to hate your life because people are going to call you and tell you there's a leak and you're going to be like, okay, move your bed. But in 30 years, you'll be there. So, lesson 2, don't think in terms of years, set bigger goal. Lesson number 3, all of the missing money in your life is in your database. I don't care how you want to spin it. I'm not going to wax poetically on it, but I'm just going to tell you it's a fact. I interview the top people in almost every industry right now, thanks to that show. And I can tell you that they all told me the same thing. Every one of them says the same thing. And they all say it in pithy ways. It's not what you know, it's who you know. You hear all of this stuff your whole life. Here's what it actually means. People do business with people they like. That's it. And so if you want to wax poetically about the 75 pages of ways to meet new people, we can. But I just want to remind everybody that you need more people to ignore like a hole in the head. None of you need more people to ignore. That's my position. What you need is deeper relationships with the people you already have. That's what I believe. And when you say, okay, well, how do you make deeper relationships? Here's how you do it. You communicate more often. That's it. You want to be in deeper relationship with someone, you have to talk to them more. You want to be out of relationship with someone, it's super easy. You just stop talking to them. I got this phone call the other day. It's an agent in Tennessee who said, can I hire you as a coach? And I was like, maybe. I am doing a little one-on-one coaching. What do you want to get coached on? He was like, I'm going through divorce and I heard you're great at it. And that was awkward. And I said, not sure what you mean. And he said, well, someone told me that you were speaking and that you had went through one and it was really painful. And I'm going through one and it's really painful. And I need someone to help me through it. And I was like, dude, let me just save you all the money. You just stop talking. You'll be out of a relationship within 6 months. And the person was silent on the other end of the phone. And I was joking, of course. It's only going to take 3 months. But here's the secret. The secret is if you don't want to be in a relationship with people, start ignoring them. And if you believe that and you're forced to look up, then I'm going to ask you, are you in relationship with your database or are you on the way out? And if all of the touches are static and none of them are needed and useful, and you're sending them stuff like, it's time to clean the gutters, I just want to remind you that that's not needed or useful information. I tell the story all the time that I got a postcard in the mail from a Keller Williams agent in Austin, and it said it's time to clean the gutters. I know he sent it because my 10-year-old handed it to me and said, Mom wants you to clean the gutters. So I called the agent and I was like, dude, it's Jason Abrams calling. And he was like, who is it really? And I was like, no. It's really me. And that's weird that you would even ask. And I need you to take me off your mailing list. And he was like, oh my gosh, why? And I'm like, because you're sending honeydew lists to my house. Like you literally are sending chores to my home. What are you going to send next month? That I should clean out the garage? What happens the month after that? I should come to your house, paint it for you? Like you're destroying my life. He's at Remax now. It's sad. But I completely understand why he was sending that, because for a while we were taught that any information is good information. Send something every 2 weeks so that no matter when they have a life event, you're there top of mind. Friends, social media and the availability of content has killed that. It's the next thing I learned in this book, which is nobody wants a touch. What they want is a needed and useful touch. So the days of sending stuff that doesn't matter are over. And if they're not over for you, they will be soon. And here's the difference. Needed and useful is super easy when you start asking the questions, what are the problems in owning a house? Like everybody here that owns one knows all the problems. You know all the things that are a hassle. Instead of just knowing them and ignoring them, start solving them for people at scale. That's Mr. Whatever It Takes in Arizona, who's a 27-year-old kid who's going to make $3 million this year. It's unbelievable. I know he's 27 because when I asked him what he was going to do with the money, he was like, I'm going to buy a black leather couch. And I was like, perfect, still works. And this dude, his whole database touch program is around doing things to make people's lives better. So he'll call you and say, I thought it was my job to sell you a beautiful home. It's actually my job to help you live beautifully. Can I send someone to clean your windows? Can I send someone to clean your gutters? Can I send someone to do the fall cleanup and rake your leaves? This summer, he's calling people and saying, can I send someone over to detail your car? No cost. Raise your hand if anyone's ever called you and said, I'm sending someone over to detail your car. Perfect. Now, how many of you have a stack of cutting boards you're giving away? Let me just tell you, no one needs another one. And you're like, no, these are special. They're made by an artist. It's a boutique. And they put my name on them, and they put their name on them, and it comes with a matching knife. Don't need it. Anyone on here, and the biggest problem in your life is you don't have anything to cut celery with. Okay, good. Not a problem. Remember, there's only 2 ways to sell something. Solve a problem or present an opportunity. That's it. And so when you stop solving problems, there's no reason to be in relationship with you unless we're friends and I like you. So you're left with a choice. How do you become likable if you have nothing to offer? And you're like, but I have plenty to offer. Okay, what are you offering outside of the transaction that the seller or the buyer is so grateful that you're offering? What is it? Is you like doing the pie giveaway? Like the good ones, the Costco ones that last for 90 days in your trunk? Like, I don't know that they need that is the problem. So you're left with likability. So how do you do that? That was the next thing I learned writing this book. The people that are having the biggest success, all of these one-pagers in this book were people that loved what they were doing. Like I saw it time and time and time again. Like Ken Pozak in Orlando, who's had 8 million people go to his YouTube channel to watch his videos. If you haven't just went to YouTube and typed in Ken Pozak Orlando and just looked at his videos, do yourself a favor and do it. Because you're going to be like, oh my gosh, he must be making like life-changing videos. No, he's telling you the 4 restaurants not to go to. Amazing, by the way, because that would offer me very little value. People love to watch it. The crazy thing is the mayor of Orlando called this dude a couple of months ago and asked him if he could be interviewed on the YouTube channel. So if the mayor of Orlando, by the way, it's not like a small town. It isn't like the mayor of Redford called. This is the mayor of Orlando who called and said, hey, can you interview me on your YouTube channel? Because he's become a media company. But here's the thing about Ken. It wouldn't matter if Ken was selling tires or life insurance or a pawn shop. Ken would be on YouTube doing it. Do you know why? Because he wakes up in the morning and loves being on YouTube. That's actually what he wants to be doing. Gary and I flew to his office to hang out with him to write the page in the book. That's all the dude wants to do. His whole life revolves around it. Wouldn't matter what he's doing. That's what he loves. The coalition property guys, those dudes throw parties, right? Where 300 people show up and write a check to get in the front door. They write a check between $50 and $100 to get in. When I used to throw agent parties, my problem was getting the people there. Like that was the hard part. Do you think they'll come? When they do, will we have enough chicken? Those are not the right questions. Those dudes throw parties. They'll sample 30 or 40 different kinds of whiskey to pick out which whiskey they're going to serve as a comp. You know what? I would never do that. You know why? All taste the same. I would have no idea. But I'm not the guy throwing parties. That's what they do. But you know what? When you talk to them, you realize they're party planners. All they want to do is be at parties. By the way, exact same thing in the farming section of this book. You go into the farming section and you're going to find Jim Fagan. Jim Fagan moves into a master plan community. Now, y'all don't have those in Michigan. I get it. But imagine a really nice place. That was a joke. I know you have those. These are like really big neighborhoods with golf country clubs. You got some of them. That's where this dude moves. And all this dude wants to do is throw house parties. That's like his whole life. He wants to just be the dude who's on the keg at a house party. Like that's all he wants to do. That's his favorite thing in the world. So what does he do? Throws house parties, like badass parties too. He does them all in his front yard. And he does that so people have to drive by and see him. And half the yard he sets up with white linen tablecloths, round tables. He has it catered. It's beautiful. It's for adults. The other half of the yard is like bounce houses and a face painter, and he hires professional babysitters. And it's literally crazy land with hot dog vendors and pretzels for kids. And what happens is the parents come and sit and have a nice sit-down lunch, and they watch their kids lose their mind for 2 hours. And he's giving the gift of relaxation and burning these children out, because anyone that has a kid knows it's a pain in the ass. It's unbelievable what this dude is doing. And people come from all over for these parties. The HOA, the HOA asked him to stop having them because he was having them once a quarter. And when he said, why do you want me to stop? They said, because no one's coming to our events anymore. Literally, that's how good at it he is. So what did he do? He did the realtor thing. He now does 2 a quarter, and everybody in the HOA hates him, and everyone that lives in the neighborhood loves him. It's genius. And that's what he wants to be doing. And you can go through and you literally can look. Like Tyler Shields in Colorado, Tyler Shields is a dude that wants to be sitting in front of his computer figuring out which Facebook ad performs the best. That sounds like the 7th circle of hell to me. And he loves that. That's his happy place. If I add a smile emoji, does 3 more people look at it? Like that's what when you talk to him, it pours out of him passionately. That's what he's into. That's why he's successful in it. And you could go all the way through. Look at Elio. This dude is 19 years old, Elio, when he starts to work in his parents' Mexican restaurant in Houston, Texas. It's a family business. They own like 8 of them. When you talk to him about it, he's vivid about it. He's like, we all smell like nachos 24 hours a day. Your clothes stink. I hated working in restaurants. I'm like, unbelievable. What'd you do? He's like, I decided to become a realtor. I said, what'd you do next? He's 22 at this point. He says, well, COVID hit. And my dad told me, if you're going to make any money, then you better figure it out now. So what does he do? Instagram. The kids call it the Insta. I know. He's on the Insta. And literally, he does 100+ deals 100% from Instagram. And by the way, go to his channel and look at it. It's not like the most complicated model. It only had 4 steps, and we spelled out exactly how to do it. That dude wants to be on Instagram. That's what he wants to be doing. Wendy Papasan, do you realize that Wendy makes between 800 and $1,000,001 a year on agent referrals? And some of you are like, yeah, easy for her. Her husband writes the books. It's Jay. Everybody knows him. Not how it happened. That you would be placing judgment in that moment without information. We call those voters. That's not what happened. In this case, what happens, Wendy goes to family reunion, her first time. She sees a ton of realtors. She collects business cards from them, if that tells you how long ago it was. She then goes back and she sends 150 handwritten notes to real estate agents. It was great to meet you. Loved it. Wasn't family reunion fun? Guess how many she got back? 1 from Lisa Archer. She figures she's going to get 150 back. She gets 1 back. And that's how she realizes there's this opportunity for agent referrals. What does she do? All she does, here's the whole model, by the way. All she does is send 1 email a month to her database of real estate agents. And the email is something that has to elicit a response. She's got a 44% open rate. The number 1 thing she'll send after family reunion, what was your biggest aha from family reunion? Everyone thinks she's literally emailing just them that. So they reply. Then she's like, oh, here's what my favorite was. You know what that's called? Relationship. Oh my gosh. And you look up and say, it can't be that easy. Friends, the genius is the simplicity in that. That's all it's doing. 1 email a month that falls into 2 buckets. Either number 1, a question that they can answer, or number 2, an item of value that helps them. That's it. And she looks up and says, why would you do that directly to consumers when you should go to the people that know all of the people? They're called realtors. Yeah, that's smart. That makes all the sense in the world to me. Amber Hart, by the way, Amber Hart does it differently. Amber looks up and says, I want luxury referrals. That's what I want. She went and she picked the 30 luxury agents that she likes hanging out with. Then at every family reunion, at every mega camp, she plans a special event just for them. And it is awesome. How do I know? Because I got invited to the last one. They literally left the mega camp, drove to the most ritzy, fancy country club in town, toured the houses that were available, then had a sit-down lunch, then went and hung out at Gary's Ranch. I may have helped with that. And before you know it, they're exchanging referrals with each other's left and right. 30 people. That's who's in her network. Guess how many people her 30 people know? And it turns out they're all rich. So let me wind that up with, if you don't know what you want to be doing, you're going to end up spending a bunch of time doing something else. I guarantee it. I don't care what it is. You can do it and make a ton of money. If you love playing golf and in Michigan, you get 4 days a year to do that, and you should enjoy it. You should put on white pants and an orange belt. I bet you look great. And you should golf all 4 of those days. You should just do it with other people that like to golf also. That's a community. Like when you look up at your database, do you see a bunch of people that are connected to you only because they think of you as the professional, or are they connected to you through some sort of shared activity that they also enjoy? Let me say it this way. If you said to me, Jason, define the best friends you have, I could do it. They're the people that do what I want, when I want, and the way that I want it done. Now, I know some of you are like, that doesn't sound like friendship. Really? It sounds like the best ones I have. You know how I know? Because I have 4 friends in totality, and 3 of them fit that definition. One of them is a complete catastrophe of a human. He's just in the group because we've known him forever and we let him in. He's the kind of guy that when you have like a guy's trip, he shows up with his shit in a garbage bag and it always says, can we stop by the ATM? I forgot to get money. Bro, you knew about the trip for like 4 months and you have a garbage bag and you forgot to get money? I can't handle that. But every one of you has one friend that completely gets you, that always seems to do it the right way. And then you have another friend that doesn't. Let me ask you this. If your life was absolutely filled, and by life, I mean database, with people that just get you, do you think you'd get more referrals from them? And the answer immediately is yes. And I will tell you how you get those people. You do the thing you love and then invite everybody to participate. And the only people that do are the people that also love it. That's it. That's the secret. So if you love going up north, quote unquote, every weekend and sitting in traffic on 275 is your happy place, I don't understand you people at all. But if that's you, awesome. Who's the community you're doing it with? You enjoy sitting outside more than inside? Don't understand that either. I can't even control the temperature of the air outside. That's something you like to do. Who are the people you're doing that with? And the last thing that I learned in this book is that knowing the answer is way overrated. Asking the questions are the key. I didn't know any of this. All I did was look for people that were having success and then ask them what they were doing and then documented it. And I gave it to you. And at Mega Camp this next year, I'm going to give you a new book with all new ideas. And I hope you guys will buy it and I hope that you'll like it. But interviewing is the key to life. You're not out selling. You're not out presenting. The strongest conversations are the ones that begin and end with the most questions. And the person that asks the questions controls the room, period. And so I would tell you, the reason I do it is because I wear this cologne called Curiosity. I can't wash it off at night. I'm wildly curious. If you're not naturally curious, then you need to find a way to pull up your curiosity, because here's the deal. If you want to bring talented people into your life, you're going to have to start asking people more questions. If you want to teach people how to think, those of you that are raising kids, and by the way, I'm not lecturing on this topic because I'm just trying to keep mine out of juvie. But like if you're trying to raise them, the way you teach people how to think is that you ask enough questions to get them to think about answers. It's not whether they get to the right one. It's the process by which they did it. Gary says that the secret to life is to make peace with the processes that are all around us. I think that's really beautiful because I woke up this morning and knew I was supposed to get my ass on that Peloton because Cody Rigsby and I had an appointment. And my brain said, don't do it. He's going to be in the shirtless shirt that makes, and you're not going to be, because I don't look that good in that outfit, but he's going to be there. And you shouldn't go, Jason, because you could pull something. And the process for me is I have to go through this entire self-loathing before I get on the exercise bike. So there's two ways to go about it. I could either hate that and quit or just get used to that being part of my process. And you know what? I went through the whole thing, got up, got on the bike, and felt great after. So if you make peace with the processes that are around you, life becomes a beautiful place. If you fight the processes that are around you, you're going to spend an awful lot of time fighting. Now, there's a percentage of you on here that like to think of yourself as a fighter. I'd like you to think about it slightly different. You're not a fighter. You're someone who's willing to fight. There's a difference. People that are willing to fight don't go look for how many they can be in. They look for the right ones. Mayweather doesn't walk around the street challenging everybody. He waits for the one every 3 years that pays him $400-500 million. So you got to pick the fight. If you're a fighter and you're willing to fight anybody, then here's what I'm going to tell you. Your process has nothing to do with success. So, Daryl, that is what I learned while writing the book.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We appreciate the time.
Guys, I'm sorry I was late. If I offended anybody with any, I do that whenever you can just email me instead of Gary. My email is jason@kw.com. It'd be better if you just tell me. And my cell phone number, if you have a challenge, I'm happy to help. It's 480-299-0805. I'm not the greatest with correspondence, but between email and text, I absolutely will try to get back to everybody. And I'm grateful for everyone on this call. So happy New Year, everybody, and go get them.